On the Grueling Truth Sports Network, we're our March Madness special. And as always, the Grueling Truth is powered by betting.net. Betting.net is your best bet for finding the online casino or sportsbook that's right for you. Make sure you check them out at betting.net. I'm your host on the Grueling Truth here for our March Madness betting special. My name is Mike Goodpaster. Today we're going to look at the East round, or East region. We're going to look at all 8 games in the first round of that East region. And last night, of course, the East region kicked off with Indiana beating Wyoming relatively easy. I mean, it wasn't easy, but it seemed like Indiana was in control from the start. And when we look at the East region, this is probably the most packed region. I mean, you've got Purdue, you've got, Baylor, you've got Kentucky, you've got North Carolina, you got Indiana. I mean, UCLA. I mean, this is a blue blood region. And we're going to start off by looking at Baylor against Norfolk State. Now, Norfolk State, of course, is a 21.5-point underdog. But Norfolk State has been the master of 15-2 upset a few years ago. But this is a number 16 against a number 1. And when you look at Norfolk State's chances here, you can't like them too much. Now, the number 1 seed that they will have to play are the Baylor Bears. And the Baylor Bears, 26-6, defending national champions. They have had some injuries that have hurt them, and their worst loss was probably to Oklahoma State. They are a guard-oriented team, and they can kind of match up with almost anybody in the backcourt. Front court, they're still very talented. The line here is 21.5 points. When you look at that line, I mean, if you love underdogs, hit up Norfolk State. But I think in the end, you're going to be wrong. I think the Bears will cover this game easily. I think you're looking at a score here of something like 77-48 for the Baylor Bears. And that moves us on to a matchup that I think is a lot more tightly contested. That is the North Carolina Tar Heels, -3 over Marquette. Of course, since I'm an old dude, I'm going to tell you how this is a rematch in a 1977 NCAA championship game that Marquette won with Coach Al McGuire in his final game. Now, I think the Tar Heels are the best bet here at -3. And I think they'll win this game by 5 to 10 points. I think the Tar Heels will expose the Golden Eagles' poor defensive rebounding. You've got Armando Bacot, who is there. He can protect the ball against Marquette's turnover-driven defense. UNC, I think, is the more reliable offense, and they will dominate the boards against Marquette. Take the Heels, give the points. I think a final score of Tar Heels 77, Golden Eagles 68. Next up, we have another seeming mismatch between the Kentucky Wildcats and St. Peter's. And, I mean, we know Kentucky has as much talent as anybody in the country. They were 26-7 this year. They've got guys that can match up anywhere. And this is an experienced team, which is something we've never really been able to say for the University of Kentucky under John Calipari. They will battle the St. Peter's Peacocks, who were 19-11. It would be a shock to see St. Peter's do anything in this game. They are a great defensive team, but Kentucky's still going to score points on them. The issue here is the spread. The 18 points is a huge spread here, but I think Kentucky covers it. I think they cover it relatively easy, 87-59. The St. Peter's defense may be able to keep them in for a little while, but that St. Peter's defense has never faced anything like this Kentucky offense. Next up, the UCLA Bruins are -14 over Akron. Now, let me also bring up, if you want to bet this game, go and click the link in the description on the video to go to Caesars Sportsbook, which is where we got all the odds for this show. So make sure you check out Caesars Sportsbook. All right, UCLA, Final Four team last year, surprised everybody. Came out of the first 4. I think they were an 11 or a 12 seed. They'll battle Akron. The thing about Akron that we do know is Akron started the year with a 1-point loss to Ohio State. That being said, they have the talent to run with pretty much anybody. That's obvious from the Ohio State game. Ali stands out as their lead wing, and it has been a while since a MAC team has caused some noise in this tournament. I think Akron here, I don't think they're necessarily a live dog because I think UCLA is so good. They've been in the top 15 all season long. I really like point guard Tiger Campbell. And, when you look at him, Johnny Zazang is an All-American. They are a top 10 team both offensively and defensively. This is a team that's actually loaded with tournament experience and only got better when they added Miles Johnson on the defensive end, who was a transfer from Rutgers. So when I look at this game, I mean, the point spread does scare me a little bit at 15.5, but I'm going to go UCLA 82, Akron 61. I believe UCLA will cover the point spread here. Next up, we got a misprint. We've got Purdue against Yale. I say misprint because, of course, I put Akron down there, so we've got to edit that out. But this game to me is a complete and utter mismatch. You got great guard play with Purdue. Yale to me is a team that win 19-11. They're overseeded. I think Yale should be a 16 seed in this game. And if we saw the 16 seeds last night, if you watch Texas Southern against Texas A&M Corpus Christi, I always call him Crispy, but if you watch Corpus Christi last night against Texas Southern, it looked like a high-level JUCO game. So yeah, I think Yale has absolutely no shot in this game. I'm going to take Purdue to win this game easily. Next up, we got Texas in one of the more intriguing games against Virginia Tech. And when you look at this, there's only a 1-point spread, and it's for damn good reason here. Because Texas against Virginia Tech, I think, is one of the best games, one of the most intriguing matchups. You have a Virginia Tech team that is the hottest team in the entire country against a Texas team that is one of the best defensive teams in the country, coached by Chris Beard. Now, I think this game will be a complete toss-up because I think Texas's defense will give the Hokies offense issues, even though they've been hot. I'm going to uncomfortably lean towards Virginia Tech here. And since it's only a 1-point spread, and I think it's pretty even, I'm going to go with Virginia Tech to win this game. But to me, this is absolutely a coin toss game, if you know what I mean. I think this is going to go down to the wire. Next up, we've got Indiana versus St. Mary's. This line just came out last night after Indiana won, and Indiana was favored by 2 points. Indiana's the underdog by 2 points. I had that wrong. So, I don't know how I messed that up, but it is what it is. So, when we look at this, I think the key here is you've got a big man for St. Mary's, 6'10", 7 foot, who can get it done. And the dude's name is Matthias. I'm trying to remember. Matthias Tass. He's a really good player. And St. Mary's is one of the top 8 teams in the country defensively. Great defensive team. They beat Gonzaga. Lost a close game, very first game of the year to Wisconsin. The thing that stands out to me, though, is this. They have a win over Gonzaga, but they also lost a couple games to Gonzaga. They beat San Francisco. The schedule here is not outstanding. I mean, if you look at them, they beat Utah State by 2 this year. Colorado State blew them out by 16. San Diego State beat them by 10. So my thing with St. Mary's is they played Yale. They beat Yale by 27. But as I said, Yale should be like a 16 seed in this. They lost to Wisconsin 61-55 earlier in the year, as I said. I don't think the schedule here is very tough for St. Mary's. I know they played a lot of good teams, but they lost to most of the good teams they played. The Indiana Hoosiers, on the other hand, since the Big Ten tournament started, are 3-1. The one loss was a bank shot pulled out of your ass by Jordan Bohannon, which lost the game for them in the Big Ten semifinals. Indiana's playing really well with Trace Jackson Davis, who all of a sudden looks like an NBA lottery pick. Not saying that's what he is, but he's moved himself to where I think there's a really good chance he could go in the first round of the draft. You've also got Race Thompson underneath. Those two are a critical combination. Xavier Johnson's playing really well at the point. He's backed up by another solid point guard in Rob Fennessy. Last night, what we saw was Jordan Geronimo kind of step onto the national stage. He played awesome. He really reminded me of Jim Thomas, who was with that 81 Hoosier team, which helped put them over the top with his play off the bench, where he sparked the team, especially in the Final Four when they were behind the LSU. Now, he did more offensive stuff than what we ever saw Jim Thomas do with that 81 Hoosier team. But Jordan Geronimo's huge here. Parker Stewart's the guy that catches a lot of heat because offensively he's just not very good. but defensively, he forced 9 or 10 turnovers over the Maldonado kid, who was the point guard. I think right here, people are sleeping on Indiana. This Indiana team is going to beat St. Mary's, so take Indiana into points. And I think this Indiana team will give UCLA all it can handle on Saturday. Next up, we've got Murray State versus San Francisco, which I think most people see this as one of the best games of this entire first round. Now, Murray State's arguably the best mid-major in the country, not named Gonzaga. There were only 2 losses were to East Tennessee State and a very good Auburn team, especially at a point at a time when Auburn was playing really well. In terms of common opponents, they have a 19-point win over Bellarmine. That's compared to San. They're a very high-scoring team, and they basically rolled the Ohio Valley Conference. They've got 6'10" KJ Williams, gives him size too. He averages 18 points, 8 rebounds a game. And this is a team here, Murray State, I think could upset Kentucky even in the second round. The only problem is they're playing the San Francisco Dons, who are probably the 3rd best team in the WCC after, of course, Gonzaga and St. Mary's. Now, they've got Jamar Bouye, who averages 16.7 points per game. He's an experienced fifth-year guy. The thing about them, I think they played a tougher schedule than Murray State. 5 of their losses are to Gonzaga and St. Mary's. But Murray State wins this game. And guys, don't be surprised if Murray State takes Kentucky out in the second round, because I think they really have the capabilities of being able to do that. Now, I want to remind you guys about betting.net. Betting.net finds the best promotions, offers, and bonus codes so you don't have to. Head over to their website now to take advantage of things like free bets and matching deposits. All right, one thing I want to give you right now is if you want really nice odds on something right now, go to Caesars Sportsbook, which you can click in the description down below. Bet Murray State to get to the Sweet 16. The odds right now are really long on that because you've got a toss-up game with San Francisco, and then they will play the heavily favored Kentucky Wildcats. So just go look at the future bets every once in a while, especially something like this. You can make a little bit of extra money. So make sure you check it out tonight. Make sure you say a prayer for me tonight for Rutgers. I mean, I've got a 3-team parlay that I had of Texas Southern, Indiana, and Rutgers. Hopefully Rutgers will finish it off tonight. Give me a first good couple days of the NCAA basketball tournament. We're going to go ahead. We'll have more shows. We'll have a show on each region for each round, breaking down each game here on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. Remember, Caesars Sportsbook. Click in the link down below. Check out betting.net. You can follow me at Grueling Truth. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Facebook. Like, subscribe, notifications, all that good stuff on YouTube. And I want to remind everybody that we will be back with a Sweet 16 preview show next Monday night with myself, Steve Risley, Dan Kornhauser. But for now, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.